In Lois Lowry's book, The Giver, she talks about a world where there is perfection. There's sameness, there's no color, there's no emotion. In this world, any discomfort or inconvenience has been removed so that people can live their lives peacefully and happily. Now, also in this world, before children are given to their families so that they can grow up in this society and become a part of this world where everyone fits into it like a little cog in a watch, they're taken care of by nurturers and caregivers. And they're walked through the first part of their life till they can sleep at night soundly and they can exist in their family with peace and with perfection, like everything else in this community. However, if this child cannot exist in a home safely where it is wanted and where it is easy to be taken care of, where it is desired, they take a needle of poison, inject it right into its brain, stick it in a box, and dump it down a chute, and no one gives a second thought to whatever happens to it afterwards. I think we can agree that we might call this cruel. We might call this barbaric. But I'm sorry to say that that is not unlike what we're doing here in California. You should listen to me today because there is a problem here in this particular state where we allow and provide the tools for the death of an infant before it's even born at 24 weeks. In the speech today, I will argue that an unborn fetus is in fact a person under the Constitution of our very country. Secondly, I will argue a solution, a compromise, so that we can end this constant death of American lives. And lastly, I will talk about why this does not violate the rights of women under the Constitution. In this first section, I will talk about why an infant is a person under the Constitution. Gregory Rogan, in his article, Unborn Children as Persons in the Constitution, argues that a child is indeed a person. He refers to a court case where this unborn first son, his rights were protected to obtain property. This was an instance where the rights of a person who did not even technically exist yet was protected. In Roe versus Wade, Judge Blackmun talks about how he could think of no court case where this was the case. He could think of nothing where the rights of an unborn child was protected. Here's one right here. He says that the term person is not well defined in the Constitution. He then goes on to say that no fetus has ever been taken into a census in this country. Well, I think we could argue that there's been a lot of people not taken into censuses throughout American history who we would still deem persons, people such as Native Americans or the Black community. If we took a census today, would we take into account, would we say that immigrants are not persons because we can't take them into a census, because we can't put them on a spreadsheet? I would disagree. Blackmun then also goes on to say that because a fetus is not a full person, it does not have the rights. Well, I think that if you're a person in any sense, you should have the rights that are obtained by this country. We might as well say that a child who has Down syndrome is not a full person because they are not fully functioning, because they can't think the same way that a fully functioning person does. But do we deny them the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? No, we don't. The last thing that Rogan talks about in this article is the preamble of our Constitution. After listing off all the things that it defends, he says that all these things are for its citizens and their posterity. Posterity is referring to people that have yet to be. I think a fetus counts as posterity. We ought to defend their rights. Now, my personal beliefs in this second section are that a fetus is a person from conception. But I know that not everyone believes that. So in this second section, I would like to offer a compromise. At 8 weeks, a fetus has developed a brain, and it is capable of conscious thought. This is the argument made by Thomasine Kushner in her article, Having a Life versus Being Alive. She talks about the idea of bios life versus zoo life. Zoo refers to being alive, such as like a plant, whereas bios refers to having a life, having memories, having a conscious thought, exploring who you are, having a relationship. At 8 weeks, a fetus is capable of doing this. It starts exploring its fingers and its toes, and then it also starts exploring where it lives and its surroundings, and it does develop a type of relationship with its mother, whether it's through kicking or it's through listening to what's going on outside. There's another article that actually references this same idea, that by Charles E.M. Cole. He talks about how there is no real separation between the body and the mind when you're defining a person. They have to go together. Now, Kushner also talks about how there is the issue of rape and women who have health issues of being pregnant. And that if necessary, they can make a case for themselves as to why they should be allowed to abort their baby later, but that the 8 weeks should be the cutoff point, that it is imperative. Now, in this very last section, I want to talk about some of the issues that are surrounding this topic. They say that this is a woman's choice, that she is allowed to cut off the life of her child. Now, I know that there is the issue of rape and things like that, but at 8 weeks, this is a constitutional human being. This is a person, an American citizen. And yes, this is her body, but at some point, it starts becoming 2 American lives that have to be protected. In an article by Naomi Wolf, who was actually the political advisor for Joe Biden, she talks about how, yes, like killing a baby is an atrocity, it is a terrible thing, and how, yes, it is life and we must kill it, but that it is a necessary evil. One of the most difficult things about just coming up with this speech was finding a pro-choice argument that made a genuine rebuttal to everything that I was researching, because they cannibalized their own arguments by saying that the baby is in fact alive, that it is a human being, but that we still have the right to take its life. How is that even acceptable? Yet somehow it is. She talks about a story where she took a pill to get rid of her baby, and she says, "I don't regret it. I do not regret taking this child's life because this is my life, where I can do whatever I want." A human being can live 80 to 90 years. 9 months is not very long, but it means everything to an unborn child. Today I talked to you about the issues surrounding abortion. I talked to you about why it's a constitutional person, the solution that I have to offer, and how it is not unconstitutional. I really hope that I've reached you guys, and that you understand why this is important. Thank you.